Hi everyone, Aaron Kriegshauser here with Basis Technologies. Today I'm going to talk to you about a new way to integrate with ActiveControl using the Node-RED integration framework, which is available in ActiveControl 8.4 and later versions. Node-RED is a tool for wiring together APIs and online services. I'm going to show how it can be used to connect ActiveControl to other products, and the example I'll be using is Microsoft Azure DevOps. I have an Azure DevOps team Kanban board set up that has a series of columns, starting from new, then dev in progress, ready for QA, QA in progress, and finally done. We're going to walk through a simple example that shows how a Node-RED integration can automatically be triggered every time a user story is created in Azure DevOps, which then drives creation of an ActiveControl business task. ActiveControl business tasks allow us to track SAP-specific development for each user story or requirement. Before you can build a Node-RED integration, you need to set up a Node-RED environment. This can be done in many ways, and there's lots of information on nodered.org. For this example, I've got mine running on a Linux VM in Microsoft Azure. Let's take a look at a Node-RED interface. Like I said earlier, Node-RED is a flow diagramming tool for wiring together APIs. You have an editor as seen here. It has a palette of nodes, each of which is really a block of logic that you wire together. For example, you have an inject node that is used to start a flow. The nodes in green are debug nodes. They will print out in the debug area details about the flow's message as it goes from one node to the next. A series of function nodes, such as this one called change, that can set properties on the flow's message. A function node is used for writing custom JavaScript logic. The network section has nodes for calling HTTP APIs. The HTTP node is used for setting up a RESTful endpoint hosted in your Node-RED environment. Down at the bottom are ActiveControl nodes that are published on the Node-RED package manager. Here are just a few of the nodes that we will offer. Create task is for creating a new business task. Enter test results is used to save a pass or fail test result on a business task. You can install the ActiveControl nodes by going to the Node-RED menu, selecting Manage Palette, and searching for ActiveControl. Okay, this particular flow I am showing is one that I created earlier. It is responsible for listening for new user stories created in Azure DevOps. Azure DevOps will send a JSON message to Node-RED via a webhook to this HTTP end node. When Node-RED receives the message, it will transform the Azure DevOps JSON data into an ActiveControl business task JSON message. In the blue Create Task node, ActiveControl will be called to create the new business task. Once the business task is created, a new task ID will be returned to Node-RED. Then in the ADO Patch Story node, the original story will be updated with the ActiveControl task ID. Finally, we will send a Slack message to the SAP dev team letting them know about the new ActiveControl business task. Now that I'm all done with editing the flow, I'll click on the Deploy button to make the changes live. Let's see this in action. In Azure DevOps, I want to create a new story titled March Price Change. Before I do that, I want to show you that there is not an existing March Price Change business task in ActiveControl. Now let's create a new story in Azure DevOps. In Node-RED, we can see the message come in from Azure DevOps. We can dig into the details of the new story JSON data by clicking Payload, Resource, and Fields. We can see the values for each field in the Azure DevOps story. We can see the new ActiveControl business task ID in the next debug message. If we go into ActiveControl and we find the new business task that's been created for the March price change, and back in Azure DevOps, we can see that the ActiveControl task ID has been added to the user story. And finally, for extra communication, my flow is sending out a Slack message to the team, letting them know about the new business task, and the SAP development can begin. I'm just showing a simple example here, so there was no need to update any configuration in ActiveControl. But it's important to note that it might be necessary depending upon the complexity of your Node-RED flow and how you have ActiveControl set up. We can also build other flows in Node-RED that we can combine to create more complex automation. For example, this flow listens for ActiveControl to send out an event when a transport reaches a test queue. It will then update the status of the corresponding story in Azure DevOps. Another flow could run the other way around, updating ActiveControl when an existing Azure DevOps story status changes. In this example, the Azure DevOps story is moved from QA in progress to done. ActiveControl's Node-RED framework makes connecting SAP development to wider DevOps processes and orchestrating software change across the enterprise easier than ever. To learn more about integrating ActiveControl with Node-RED, please contact Basis Technologies.